Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, and I want to talk about Simon Guobadia interviewing with Bernie Zilio from Page Six about the end of his marriage to Porsha Williams, where he basically says that she finessed him. Now, before we get into the details, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on this interview clip is allowed. So shout out to the Jasmine brand. That is where this story is coming from. Again, Simon Guobadia interviewed with Bernie Zilio from Page Six about the end of his marriage to the Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsha Williams. Bernie is going to ask Simon some very specific questions about the end of his marriage, and he's going to be very direct and say some interesting things. So I will pause and give commentary throughout, but I will go ahead and get started, and let's do it.
I said to her in one of my text messages to her, because she didn't respond because I kept asking her, why did you file for a divorce? And she wouldn't say anything. I tried to reach her mom. Her mom would not respond either. I later figured out this felt like a coup. When I don't know if you're familiar with. I'm familiar. I say it because I'm from Nigeria, and that we were ruled at one point by the military, and so every so often when you want to change leadership, the president, you stage a coup.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I was totally blindsided. I was no member of her family, whether on the mother's side, on the father's side, reached out to me. And the only person I actually reached out to was her mom. And, she didn't.
Do you regret marrying her?
Absolutely. I said to her in one of my text messages to her, because she didn't respond because I kept asking her, why did you file for a divorce? And she wouldn't say anything. I tried to reach her mom. Her mom would not respond either. I later figured out this felt like a coup.
Okay, so I want to pause there because I find it very ironic that Simon is saying that when Portia initially filed for divorce, that he reached out to her and asked her, "Why are you filing for divorce?" And he said that Portia Williams would not respond to him. He even goes on to say that he tried reaching out to her mother and she would not respond. The reason why I find this to be so ironic is because Portia made it a point to film a few scenes for this current season, Sweet 16 of Roa, where she said that she was reaching out to Simon and he was not responding, particularly when her daughter Pilar would say, "Where's Pawpaw?" or whatever nickname she had for him. It reminded me of Pawpaw, which I thought was weird, like he's her granddad. But in any event, she would ask about Simon, and Portia said that she would text him to say, "Oh, Pilar is asking about you. She misses you." And Portia told the cast that he would not respond. She also filmed a scene with her mother. They were getting like pedicures or massages, and Portia said that she wanted to be very cordial with Simon during the divorce. So she tried to reach out to him and say, let's try and communicate about what we want to get out of the divorce, very mediation type. And she said that Simon would not respond. And Portia said in the scene that there was some sort of like Nigerian custom where if a couple is struggling, that the family members would try to bring them back together or try to help mediate. And so Portia said that she reached out to Simon's side of the family and they told her that they did not want to get involved and they did not, intervene. So I find that so interesting that she was on camera saying that he was ignoring her when he's saying that he asked her, "Why did you file for divorce?" And she ignored him. But let's go ahead and move on to the next part.
When
Has upheld the prenup that you guys signed before entering marriage. Are you able to share a little bit about what those terms are or look like?
that she received $40,000 a month in alimony for the length of the marriage, which was 14 months.
Okay.
She gets to stay in the house, all expenses paid, including the mortgage, through for 36 months, up to 36 months. And if she chooses to own the home, she would have to refinance the property in her name and take a 50% equity. She would have to give me 50% equity in the home.
Wow. What is your reaction to that ruling? And that has upheld the prenup that you guys signed before entering marriage. Are you able to share a little bit about what those terms are or look like?
That she receive $40,000 a month in alimony for the length of the marriage, which was 14 months.
Okay.
And these details we learned during the divorce proceedings. Shout out to blogger Lakeisha. Lakeisha, definitely head on over to her YouTube channel because she attended those hearings. She has that content. It's very detailed. And that is where the blogs got the audio of Porsha saying that she paid the child support to one of Simon's ex-wives, the mother of his boys. And then we saw where the lady sent the text messages to blogger Michelle Brown about where she reached out initially about bookshelves, and Porsha brought up the child support. So he is pretty much saying, he has to pay her $40,000 a month in alimony for a little over a year, and she gets to live in the marital home, free of charge for 36 months. And then if she wants to stay in the home, she has to refinance to take him off of the mortgage. The mortgage is just in her name, and he gets 50% of the equity in the home. That is super duper normal for married couples who are both on the mortgage of a property and they are divorcing, and one of them wants to stay in the home. Will pay me my half of the equity, and then that's a cash out refi, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, let's move on to the next clip.
To give those funds to her. In my opinion, it was not. It wasn't done in good faith. It was done to give a narrative in court or to the public that I paid Simon's um, um, I paid Simon's child support.
Did Portia have a relationship with this son of yours that she sent his mother money for?
Not particularly. My boys um, were with me for the last 5+ years. They've been with me 1 week on, 1 week off, and quite frankly, my kids don't care who daddy's married to or who daddy's dating, and to give those funds to her. Um, in my opinion, it was not. It wasn't done in good faith. It was done to give a narrative in court or to the public that I paid Simon's um, um, I paid Simon's child support.
Did Portia have a relationship with this?
Okay, so I want to talk about how weirdly Simon and Porsha, they really seem like a match because of their, I don't want to use the word brokenness, but they both seem like they're not whole yet. So we know that Simon, at one point, Porsha thought she was the fourth wife, and she said during those divorce proceedings that you can listen to over on Lakeisha's YouTube channel, she learned that at some point she learned she was the fifth wife. And I know that he's Nigerian, and I know that in some cultures it's normal to have multiple wives, but I even think that that's very unhealthy. It totally negates real love, in my opinion, if you believe in that. If you believe in, one person is your person, to have multiple wives, I just feel like negates that. That just kind of, having multiple wives kind of suggests that, this one got like really good push. This one can cook really good. This one is the mother of my children. And this one has multiple streams of income. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like taking what you can get from each one. That's how I think of it. Now, and I think having multiple wives is totally different than you met someone, y'all fell in love for whatever reason, it did not work out, and you're blessed to find love again. I think that that's different, because when you met person number one, your self-esteem could have been lower, or you could have been a people pleaser. It could have been someone that your parents told you to marry. It could have been more of like an arranged marriage and it didn't work out. And then by the time you meet this next person, you've changed, you know yourself more, you're more comfortable in your skin, whatever the reason is. And then this relationship is much better. Versus having multiple wives, I just feel like it's just almost making a mockery of marriage, and it totally cancels out the idea of two people being meant for each other, So I kind of think that something's already a little off within Simon for him to have been married all these times. And then when it's like over, he gets super duper petty. Like him posting all the time about Porsha, trying to prevent her from filming in the marital home, giving her a really hard time. I remember when he and Fallon were divorcing, he was the same way with her. He would go live on Instagram after meeting with his attorney, and every time they like moved along in the divorce, he had to go live and talk about it. And he's like, now from this day on, I'm no longer financially responsible for her. I remember him saying that, and I was like, wow, he's like super petty, and they totally tried to put the narrative out there that she was this big cheater, which obviously, they both were kind of doing their thing while still legally married to each other. I think that's trifling. I don't think that's cool at all. Again, that's like making a mockery of marriage. I do find marriage to be sacred. The whole two becoming one flesh and you saying these vows, it's a promise to God that you're going to take good care of this person, That's just how I see it. But so I feel like there's parts of him that he has to work on. And then I think of Porsha. And so, he feels like, she staged a coup. I call it being finessed, right? I asked Google, how long did they negotiate their prenuptial agreement? It was 11 months. They started negotiations in December 2021, and they finalized their prenuptial agreement in November 2022. That was 11 months of saying, no, I want this. Well, no, I want to give you that. Well, how about this? 11 months. And then after that, she married him. And then they were married for, he said 14 months. Reportedly, it was 15 months. That's not very long at all. And, it is giving like, I got the hookup. You know what I'm saying? Holla if you hear me. I got the hookup. I'm about to divorce. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that Porsha did finesse him, because she will drop a cease and desist, honey. So I am not saying that, Porsha. I'm just reacting to his Page 6 interview. But I can see where he would think that. But also at the same time, you have to think about like how you move with people. And he and Fallon, it just kind of went down in flames. And I don't think that Porsha just got with him for a storyline or to flaunt him publicly or on the show, because I actually feel like that's him, actually. Because according to Fallon Pena, he told her that she should be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So he wanted his then wife to be on there, and he didn't mind dating Porsha. And I kind of, in my opinion, that's kind of foolish, especially when you knew that your US citizenship was non-existent. The last thing I would want to be on is TV, and a popular long time reality TV show at that. But I just kind of feel like Portia and Simon were kind of like incomplete people who met each other, and and they kind of came together. And I also feel like the way that Portia, did hook herself up with the prenuptial agreement, I think she must have been so scarred from how Cordell publicly embarrassed her by, because she always says she found out on Twitter that her marriage to Cordell was over. They had only been married for like about 2 years, and he wouldn't let her come back to the marital home, packed her stuff up all sloppy in a box. And we saw her open up the box that he sent, and he damaged the wedding dress. So I think that she was like, I want to be in love, I want to get married, but I ain't gonna play myself no more. And I feel like that trauma spilled over into how she did all of this. And so, and now it's been told to us that when she realized that the citizenship wasn't right, that she filed for divorce. But as I was playing those clips for you all, I was like checking out the caption. I know a lot of the caption is pretty much what he says verbally in the verbatim, but there's also a paragraph that says that Porsha filed for divorce in February 2024, just over a week after a Valentine's Day argument. Guobadia alleges she reached out to reconcile, but he ignored her. So I think that some of her trauma from what she went through with Cordell and being embarrassed and being put out of the home, I think perhaps she may like see signs like, oh, maybe it's coming to an end. You know what I'm saying? Like that anxiety could kick in and she could react. But I mean, I feel like she made the right decision, because I can't be married to nobody whose US citizenship ain't right. No. And every time you travel, it's a problem. No, and that's income you cannot rely on. And he pays child support on top of that, and y'all living in this multi-million-dollar house. No, 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 no. That's just way too much. A relationship should enhance your life. It should not add more stress to it. And that's any type of relationship, whether it's romantic, sibling, friendship, it should all enhance. It should not like make shit worse. Okay. But what do you all think about Simon's interview? I feel like because he's always been very vocal and chatty and always posting on Instagram, I feel like a part of him loves the limelight, but he doesn't seem as animated. He seems more subdued. So I feel like in this interview, there was some sincerity and seriousness. But what did you think about his Page Six interview? I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. We are all going to have a thriving Thursday. We are almost to the weekend. The race car movie, F1, starring Brad Pitt and the fine Damson Idris. It actually came out tonight, like one early screening, and then, it's going to be out tomorrow, Thursday. So I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. I follow Damson Idris on Instagram. He is also handsome. And like he's been posting. GQ did like a video spread on him. They had a really big opening like overseas, a really big premiere. Tom Cruise was there and they were all posing and got their shades on and their suits. Like I cannot wait to see F1. All right. And I will talk with y'all soon. Bye.